Hi, welcome. This video is all about fear in menopausal women. In the same way that shifting hormones can increase general anxiety and depression, it can also change the way that women experience fear. The brain is more likely to hang on to and summon feelings of fear in late perimenopause and postmenopause when estrogen is low. The weird and frustrating thing is that these bouts of fear are often random and nonsensical, and are sometimes targeted at things that never provoked fear in the past. I'm going to share the most common fears that women have shared with me, and a few that I struggle with myself. The most common fear that I hear about is fear of dying. It can become so extreme that it can actually morph into health anxiety. There are so many symptoms and discomforts experienced from perimenopause straight through to postmenopause that concerns over the possible causes makes sense. But in this case, despite medical testing and reassurance, every new or worsening symptom sparks brand new fears. I don't know how many times I have been tested for health problems, but every single time the pain, dizziness, surges, and a dozen other things hit, I'm afraid of serious illness all over again. I honestly think some fears surrounding all of these unwanted changes is to be expected. It can be brutal. But for many of us, health anxiety becomes a constant, unwanted companion. Next is fear of being alone, both in the house and in public. I hear from many women afraid to be left alone and to venture out in public. I can only speak from my own experience, but for me, it stems from all of the symptoms. I'm afraid to be left alone in case I need help, and I experience far less fear when someone is with me, especially when I am out shopping or at appointments. My son is usually my safety buddy. I'm always so proud of myself when I venture out alone and conquer my fear, but it doesn't happen very often. So the opposite of my younger self. I was always the one to handle everything, completely solo, without even thinking about it. I kind of miss that me. Fear of crowds and socializing is next. Many women feel much more comfortable in their own surroundings in midlife, and peopling and shopping can bring about fear and anxiety. The source of that fear is individual, but can include things like crowds, lights, noise, germs, unwanted interactions, and having to deal with menopause symptoms in public. Number 4 is fear of dementia or going crazy. Menopause brain is real and it can be debilitating. I am beyond scatterbrain now, and to be honest, it's unnerving. I sometimes wonder if it's hormones or something more, and many women have shared similar fears with me. They question whether they're developing some form of dementia because they're so absent-minded and having problems keeping their thoughts organized. While I'm sure it does happen to a select few, in the majority of cases, shifting hormones are to blame. Next is fear of driving. So many women share with me that they're afraid to drive now. Some only have issues with certain roads like major highways, while others are afraid to drive, period. One of the biggest reasons I hear about is a fear of being hit with dizziness, panic, or some other symptom while they're on the road. But for others, there is no reason. They're simply unsettled behind the wheel now. Fear of food is also on the list. It sounds a bit silly, but it's very real and can be disruptive. I know there are certain foods that I do not dare put in my mouth now for fear of how it's going to affect my body. Altered digestion and new or worsening allergies play a role for many. We just don't handle food the way we used to anymore. And eating the wrong food at the wrong time can spell disaster for hours and sometimes days. Number 7 is the fear of planning anything. The unpredictability of symptoms is a huge factor here, as well as social anxiety. Speaking from my own experience, if I have anything planned, an appointment, an event, a social outing, anything, I will fret about it constantly. Because A, I'm worried about whether or not I will be able to get through it once the time comes, or B, when it comes to doctor's appointments, I stress about whether or not I'm going to be dismissed again or have yet another negative experience. Women often share up-and-coming trips and appointments with me because of the fear of going, missing it, or how they will cope once they're there. Also on the list is fear of random things. This type of fear can quickly become a phobia. This is a fear of things that never used to be a problem before and don't usually provoke fear. Mine is canned goods. Never a problem before, but now all of a sudden I'm afraid of getting sick from canned goods. I realize it's nonsensical unless the can is way past the date or severely damaged, but there it is. Other random things could include balloons, elevators, insects, or wearing white after Labor Day. It could literally be anything because there's no outward reason for the fear. It just is, as strange as that sounds. Number 9 is fear of medication. Many women are afraid of the effects of medication in menopause. I would imagine because they're already dealing with 1,000,001 things. I'm very leery of medication because I don't want to add side effects to the list of things I'm already struggling with. And I happen to be highly sensitive to pretty much every medication out there. Most women don't want to end up feeling worse trying medication on their quest to feel better. Next is the fear of never feeling normal again. The entire transition from perimenopause into postmenopause can last a decade. That's an eternity when you're struggling with a list of unrelenting symptoms. The hope of a light at the end of the tunnel and the fear of there never being one is very real for many women. I often wonder if I will ever feel whole again, if I'm being honest. There are most definitely many more fears attached to perimenopause and postmenopause. Those were the 10 most common ones that I hear about frequently and in several cases struggle with myself. What fears do you battle with in menopause? Share in the comments. I wish you all health, happiness, and peace of body and mind. The link to my menopause support group is in the description if you'd like to join us there, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.